Hello, YouTube. I unfortunately have been very behind on trying to upload, and now I'm fully moved into college, um, and I'm starting my new academic career, and I'm getting a brand new taste of life. And being fully independent now is something that's very interesting. Well, I guess I shouldn't say completely independent, right? I still have some um, monetary dependency, but mainly my timeline, how I choose to spend that money, it's all independent. And so what's been put into perspective for me is kind of balancing living versus focusing on the future. So for me, I'm someone who believes heavily in investment. And so there's certain free things that I'm going to be able to invest into my future. Like I have a free gym membership with my college. I have unlimited meal plan. Um, I can use the facilities for running and walking, getting out in nature. So essentially, um, what I'm getting at here is that with all of this newfound, I guess you could call it freedom, my personal routine still hasn't quite changed as much as I thought it would. There's already been some positive changes that I do like. I'm certainly becoming a more social person, which, not that I wasn't social before, but I was social within specific confined bubbles, and now I'm really going out of my way to make sure that I'm being social to people maybe I wouldn't normally be social to. And what's really interesting about this, only a few days of living alone, is that so many things when I was a teenager, a young teenager, and my parents would say, "Oh, you have no idea how hard this thing is or that thing is." Um, they were quite correct about, and there's other things I feel that they were incorrect about. And that's interesting is that I had to take an air of humility and say, Marley, you were wrong. Um, this was actually much more difficult than you thought it would be. And there's also several things that I still disagree with that I found so far not as difficult as I thought they would be, and that's okay. And basically, um, the lessons that I'm learning so far about having independence is simply existing as a person is. There's a quote in the Old Testament of the Bible where God or Yahweh presents himself saying, "I am who am." Um, he is who exists. And I'm starting to learn kind of the meaning of that. Being able to say, "I am who am." I am this person. And everybody at college is still trying to find their identity. But I'm proposing maybe there is no identity to be found. We're fluid organisms. There's over 8 billion people on the planet. There are over 100 religions, over 1,000 different nationalities, over 2,000 languages. Um, and what's interesting is that not one of these subcategories is specifically correct or able to be proven correct. Even within scientific thought, there's so many principles and ideologies that are believed to be correct by a certain group and dismissed by another group. And what I'm pushing towards here is that the identity that I'm starting to find myself in is that I don't have one. I'm not confined anymore by my hometown or my parents or school entity. Even though I'm at a collegiate entity, I'm not confined by it. I chose the classes I wanted to take. I can leave whenever I want. I don't have to, raise my hand and say, "May I use the restroom? May I use my humanity? May I be a human being?" Um, those things are no longer necessities to ask permission to exist, to ask permission to do basic human things. And what I'm finding here is that with this newfound freedom, I'm also finding newfound discipline. I find so many areas of my life now that I'm inflicting the discipline on instead of an external entity. So, for example, uh, things like my diet have to change. I'm obviously not in the best shape or not in my maximum state of health right now. So I really need to focus on eating better, training better, getting a solidified routine. Also, being monetarily intelligent is something I've always been good at. Um, being smart with how I choose to spend my money is very important, obviously. And so there's a balance between living life and enjoying, enjoying your limited number of days on earth and being extremely disciplined. And so choosing not to spend money on frivolous things is very important. And also, I think that sometimes it appears that it will be good to spend money on frivolous things because sometimes the frivolous things are what makes life so amazing. Um, and I'm meeting very interesting people, having very interesting conversations, and I feel unbound. I feel free, even though there's always going to be external limitations. I'm now working through those internal limitations. And as I progress more spiritually, I simply discover how many more people there are out there with similar thought processes and similar outlooks on life, and also so many people with outlooks that I never would have imagined. And I think this is my college experience is showing the true beauty of the human experience. And um, I'm going to continue to adjust my life and document it so that it can be proven that a person can take their life into their own hands and make changes for themselves. And that's what I'm really going to be focusing on going forward, is changing myself to fit my idea of who I really want to be. And I know I was talking about fluidity earlier. So where that connects for me is kind of saying, okay, I see this thing, I'd like to make this change. Am I able to make it? And train myself to be able to make changes pretty much like that, like on the spot. And right now, spiritually, physically, mentally, I'm not in a place where I can make those changes and adjust. And that's really what I'm going to be training myself to do, is to adjust on the dime. Almost like, if you've seen the movie Sinners, how Michael B. Jordan so excellently plays two characters. Not that I'm saying I would be inauthentic, but I'm saying to mold my soul on the spot, to have control over it, almost similar to Mahito from Jujutsu Kaisen. If any of you out there get that reference, that if you have control over your soul, it's extremely, extremely difficult to wear you down. It's almost impossible to get rid of you. Um, and so that's really what I'm focusing on, is being able to mold and have influence over that fluidity, and not necessarily exert my will, but ride the coast, ride the waves, ride the train of the soul. And that's really where my head has been at and where I'm focused. So thank you so much for listening today, dear watcher, and I'll continue to upload, and hopefully with more frequency. And y'all have a great day. Thank you. Well.